Hi, everyone. Look down below and hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Shannon Confidential. I am Shannon, your host, and Shannon Confidential is a podcast about life, love, and everything in between. And today's in between is going to be really sweet. You are going to meet the honey's honey. Yeah, I'm talking about Jodeci. And Jodeci is the founder of J.A.D.E. And J.A.D.E stands for Jodeci's Alternative Daily Enhancements. Now, she's also a creator of the most exotic honey, as well as the voice of the cannabis industry. So you could just imagine the treat you're in for today. She has just really nailed this market. She's done so much research. Her accomplishments are quite incredible. I was just fascinated by her just speaking with her. I cannot wait to introduce you to the honey's honey, J.A.D.E. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is, and I'm going to correct myself. It is Jodeci. I was saying it wrong, so my deepest apologies. Of J.A.D.E, the founder. And like I said in the intro, she's the honey's honey. She's got a lot going on, exotic stuff, voice of the cannabis industry, all of her accomplishments. But she has a story that brought her to where she is now, which makes it even more remarkable. So Jodeci, welcome to Shannon Confidential.
Buzz, buzz.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you so much. Buzz Buzz is a really cool way to break the ice. It's a conversation piece, but it was also a way for me to break down my barrier in using plant medicine and going into public spaces. So it was a way to make it positive versus negative when people would ask me, whoa, you look high. And I would say, hey, I'm medicated, and I'm medicated, but it would make me feel so bad. I would get so defensive. Even embarrassed, right? Ashamed, like, oh my gosh, how can I go out in public and be high? But this is the only way that I feel comfortable. So it was nice that it fell right into my brand of making honey and being the honey's honey.
I think is adorable.
Yes. And, I'm always buzzing around. I'm always pollinating. I'm a generator by heart. That is my human, genetics. So I'm just naturally a generator. So buzz, buzz.
Buzz, buzz, back to you. Now, you have come a long way. This didn't just happen overnight. And you have taken something and made it exponentially bigger than when you first started dabbling in this field. So tell us your journey. What brought you to where you are today?
I found a holistic remedy that stuck and it created honey.
Okay, there you go. And that's the end. Cut.
Right. and that's the sweetest way to say it, being from the Midwest and coming over to the West Coast, that was a pretty hard transition. But even living in the Midwest was a difficult transition.
Yeah, you were Midwest to Las Vegas.
Yes.
That's pretty big.
It was. And even before that, I had to learn how to transform from a young age. So I'm from inner city Chicago. And then in the sixth grade, we moved over to the southern Indiana. It was about 45 minutes away from Louisville, Kentucky. So very country. So it was a culture shock. And then coming to the West Coast was a greater culture shock.
I was going to say, woo!
But I'm truly grateful for my journey and being able to resonate with people who may feel lost, who may have felt like as an outcast. So this honey helped me create beautiful relationships with people in this community, in the Las Vegas community, in the medical community, in the healing community. It helped me build great relationships.
Yeah. And I know your medical background and the people that you helped and the things that you did, you actually did that before you created J.A.D.E. So you have background in assisting people and seeing people be medicated with things that are other than holistic, let's just say,
Absolutely.
remedies. And that is part of the evolvement of Jade and
Yes.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes right back into me having to learn how to transform, right? I grew up in a home that was predominantly drug use, violent, and then making my way out of that situation, but growing up in an area in a small town where nobody had teeth, or there was a lot of meth
Wow.
issues or opioid issues, and I was always creeped out, like, why are these people getting so addicted, and why are they putting all these children on medicine? It even went to kids having ADHD, and I was like, kids just want to be kids. You can't put them in a seat for 12 hours a day.
I couldn't do it. I can't do it now as an adult.
Right. So I just found really weird pieces to medicine and how they were treating people. And oh my gosh, if I saw a commercial that said, take this medicine and here are the side effects, I was scared. I remember my mother fighting with me, like, take medicine when I was sick. And I was like, no medicine. So she'd always make me home remedies. The cool thing about it is my mother also worked in pharmaceuticals and was bringing home jars of acetone. And as a little girl, I didn't understand. Like, she was like, here's some nail polish remover.
Yeah.
As I got older, she would explain a little bit more that she was one of the chemists in the laboratories that were testing out different products and ingredients of pills. And so I was like, never again will I put a pill in my body.
Nail polish is in, or at some point was being inserted into pills scientifically for research.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
Wow, that's huge.
And then my father, he had passed away from an opioid addiction.
I'm very sorry.
And it was weird for me at the time. I was 16 or 17 years old. And
Anytime.
it was super tough. At this time, I was really evolving in entrepreneurship with Girls Incorporated. I had just won a large scholarship. I sold a shoe business in lieu of getting a scholarship. So I was a first generation grad. So I was in the prime of my young, like, childhood.
That's fantastic.
Whatever. And my father dies. And he's found, I'll be real, he's found in a hotel room in Florida over an opioid overdose. And I didn't have much emotion at the time, but as I got older, opioids kept showing up. You know, I took social work in my undergrad. I knew at this time, once my father died, I was going to work in social work, do grassroots organizing, help as many people as I could. I wanted to heal and help people with addictions. And then it kind of transpired into like family health. I ended up graduating and working in HR. And I worked for Indiana University Health. I was the East Central Region's nurse coordinator. So building up an HR consultant. So I built up nursing careers from CNAs to advanced practice providers. It was heavy. But in the gap, I was noticing, and our entire world was going through a nursing shortage. So there is a lot of pressure at this time. Well, as I'm hiring 80 nurses every 2 weeks, I'm losing 7 in the background. And I'm like, what? And they're all going to diversions, which is an issue with stealing the medicine out of Pyxis, whether it's for themselves, whether it was for a family member, or whether it was for them to supplement income. It crushed everything that I was doing. My job was no longer fulfilling as this started to grow. So I left. I took a medical leave. I was young. I had gained over 100 pounds working in HR. And I just needed a change. So I drove all the way to Las Vegas and didn't know I was coming here. I stopped in a couple other cities. with my two very amazing Labradors, Roxy and Chloe. And I became the girl with the two dogs, and we were traveling and figuring life out because we knew medicine in the Midwest was not it. Struggling with my own personal journey and mental health, as well as my nervous central system. And I wanted something different. The cold hurt my body. Yeah, I'm out. No. So I came to Vegas and I woke up one day on the side of the road. You know, we were literally just driving. Weren't taking stops in hotel rooms or nothing. We wanted to be with the earth. So I woke up and I was at a truck stop at the side of the road in our little Kia Sportage. And
glad you made it safely.
We were great. We were having the time of our lives. Like just gone with the wind, a little bee.
I love it.
3 little bees. And there's a sign above us that says recreational cannabis. Now, I had always been introduced to cannabis, you know, it was always sold in my household. It was always around when I was growing up, but it was taboo. So I would smoke on the DL, on the down low, like, nope. So when I came to Vegas and found out it was legal, I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely smoking because this helped me. It helped me lose weight. Mind you, when I did smoke cannabis during college, I lost 100 pounds. Once I stopped using cannabis, I had gained all of that back, probably due to stress too. But
I know, which I'll ask about later, because usually I've never tried it. And so all I know is it makes you get the munchies. So I would think I would be eating because I was smoking it, but I guess that's not
what most people think. But that's not the way it works. Okay. There's so much science behind it.
We'll get into that. So I interrupted your story. So now you're in Las Vegas.
Well, you're not interrupting. It goes right into the science. And if I see this recreational cannabis sign, I immediately go into the dispensary. And I'm like a kid in a candy shop, like literally in time. Like I thought I was in Times Square again, you know, at the M&M store, picking out all of my favorite M&Ms. It was so science driven. They were telling me about terpenes, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" I just
what
terpenes? Terpenes are the aromas. When you open up a jar of, you know, your cannabis and you smell it, what does that allude to you? Does that make you? Is it citrusy? Does it maybe have some limonene in it that's found in lemons? Does it maybe have some myrcene in it that's found in mangoes? So there's so much science behind it, right? So they're telling me all of this stuff in the weed, and it's just it's not about getting high anymore. At this point, my entire world zoned in, and I said, I want to federally legalize cannabis. In that moment.
There you go.
Not even 3 months in Las Vegas, I ended up, you know, getting a little weekly and staying out here, figuring out the ropes and visiting this dispensary. And I walk into a new dispensary and I get hired on the spot. They're like, "We want you to work for us." Like, okay.
That's awesome.
All right. And I become a bud tender, but I get thrown into this training.
That cracks me up. A bud tender.
A bud tender.
I love that.
And I get to learn the science about our endocannabinoid system, which everyone has an endocannabinoid system, and how THC, our endocannabinoid system, is what is our system in our bodies that make our bodies balanced.
Okay. That's
all it is. So it's working with our receptors, it's working with our nervous system, it's working with our brain. It keeps our body balanced. That's what everybody has one. So what cannabis and really the industry is targeting, at least in Las Vegas, and what I found in my training, was they were targeting each person's symptoms. It was not about getting high at this point. So I fell in love with the industry because one thing I did not want to do is partake in anything that was going to get me high. Okay. So in my a year and a half of bud tending. I grew into a sales manager. I helped develop driving protocols in a dispensary. I started training development because in our industry, we're not that many years old. It's 5 years old. So, we're learning organizational development, organizational structure, culture. We have to implement all of these pieces from corporate America really into our into our legal industry.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do more.
Okay.
I wanted to touch the community. I wanted to do more advocacy work. I wanted to consult with people who were on medicines and introduce them to at least CBD. Maybe they didn't want to get high. And CBD derives from hemp, so it's not going to get you high. It's legal across the nation. It's where cannabis, THC, is illegal federally. States can have the decision to legalize it with their certain regulations. So each state is truly different.
Can
Until
you
federal
explain to those
legalization.
people who are listening and watching that do not understand the not get high from cannabis high, that's CBD, because it is a derivative or piece of cannabis that is different. And I'm sure I'm not saying that right. But can you explain why one is legal and one way in some places is not? And one is considered more medical and one is considered more of a recreation drug.
Ooh, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of hands in that pot, pun intended. So really with CBD, it's non-psychoactive. So because it doesn't have it doesn't cause any impairments to like your vision or your response rate, it doesn't need any regulations around it. And that's why it's not like considered illegal. Cannabis, on the other hand, has been federally illegal and listed as a controlled substance drug since forever. So because of that, hemp is something that has been used in the beginning of time in textiles. And again, it's non-psychoactive, but because THC has psychoactivity and it can alter, your mindset. That's why it has those. And also because of all the beautiful benefits. That's the other piece of it. All the beautiful benefits and the health benefits. Big pharma, definitely. They need to figure out how to tax it, better and make money off of it federally.
Because there are health benefits to cannabis that is far more natural than the incredible amount of drugs that is being pushed into our faces with a laundry list of side effects.
Laundry list of side effects.
And the side effects of the opioid addiction and the different things that are being laced in these drugs that the people are taking now. And I did just to veer off, I'm going to digress a little bit to another podcast I did on Friends of Friday with a medical legal death investigator, that there are so many deaths amongst the youth in our country that it's due to opioid abuse, that it's actually changed the lifespan. Man, that's insanity. It's changed the lifespan of the youth in America because so many are dying. So you have this ability and you've done so much work to try to create something to offset that and keep people alive and make them feel better at the same time.
And what I found to that is the anecdote is thyself, is yourself. It's like looking truly in the mirror, and just finding things that bring you joy, holding yourself accountable, putting yourself first, putting your needs first. Not everybody knows what their passion is at this moment. So just following your curiosity, right? Doing things that highlight your highest self inside when you feel it from the gut, and that's all I'm trying to educate and spread, is awareness and just different tactics, which is, why I'm so honored to have been thrown, a little blindly into this industry, because I have built such an amazing team, whether it be it directly inside of the dispensary selling cannabis, and they're sharing stories with me and new research, or sharing it with their patients, joining other organizations as well and supporting those organizations in cannabis reform and affecting change, impacting our community, breaking down the negative stigma behind cannabis.
Because it is more science. There's so much more science. And I have to tell you, that wasn't anything I dabbled in. So when we were in the intro call, and then just, over time, you just learn and you read, it truly isn't the stigma it used to be, or it doesn't have to be anyway. There are wonderful, wonderful benefits that are helping people of all ages for all different reasons in a much more positive way. So your science research and the different organizations you're part of and your accomplishments are fantastic.
Well, it takes a person. I think it took myself to break my walls down, right? I had to get outside of myself. I had to be willing to do something out of the ordinary and not just follow suit, raising my voice. And again, just trusting and believing in what is in front of me and the passion that I have for it. So I do, when working in the dispensary as a bud tender, there were some things that I did see, like a lot of the edibles. Now, I am a fan of food, but it took me like some work to lose weight twice. I've lost over 200 pounds. So, in total. So that's a huge accomplishment for me. So when I go into a dispensary, or when I was going into a dispensary, every edible in there, was consumed by sugar. It was a brownie. It was a gummy. It was a Rice Krispie treat. It was cookies, candy. There were two products that stood out to me, which was a ghee butter, and then it was honey. Now, I had, since moving to Las Vegas and part of the holistic wellness, I did transition from eating meat to now becoming vegan. So I do a lot more raw foods. I do a lot of juices, smoothies. And I also found not all honey was the same, right? So in that, I said, I want to do something. I want to curate something. I started mixing things up with the ghee butter and the honey and making my own.
What's ghee butter?
Ghee butter is just a different type of butter that is not saturated in as much fat as regular butter.
Okay.
And so
you mix it and mingle in, and
I was just cooking and chefing it up. And at this point, I said, I want to do more for the community. I'm quitting my job.
Why not? You traveled with your pups over to Las Vegas. Why not just quit your job and do something else?
Yeah. In this time, right before I quit my job, there were some instances that led up to it. I did get a cannabis DUI, and it was stupid. I was seen on the outside of my car and got pulled over, and I was not inebriated. I ended up putting it out, but I still went to jail for it. So I suffered from that.
Okay.
I suffered. So that also caused me, people were like, why would you quit your job in the midst of suffering? Because my job was also causing me to suffer. I wasn't doing enough.
Okay.
I was not doing enough. So I ended up quitting, and I was like, all right, I'm starting J.A.D.E. Now, mind you, when I did move to Las Vegas, I did go by the alias of J.A.D.E. because of cannabis, and because I did not want people back in the Midwest who were high sponsors of mine to cut me off because I was now in the cannabis industry. Okay. So I went by J.A.D.E. I liked that name. It fit with Roxy and Chloe, so made sense. Well, J.A.D.E. ended up now became my consulting center. So I was providing, at the time it stood for Jodeci, Anonymously Developing Excellence. So I was doing consulting with brands who wanted to enter the cannabis space in Nevada. I activated a couple of brands out here. did a lot, started learning a lot from researchers, farmers, scientists, doctors, built this really cool team. It was amazing.
I love science. I love it. I'm a sponge.
And we started formulating and extracting and making dog treats and infused with hemp and as well as CBG. So my baby became CBG. We spoke briefly about the differences in THC and CBD. Well, I found the mother of them all, being the person that I am, right? I needed to find the best thing. CBG. CBG, cannabigerol, is the mother of all of the cannabinoids. So eventually it turns into THC and CBD and all the other cannabinoids that we find, CBN.
There's that many.
There's so many. It is absolutely incredible what you can find on the cannabis plant and the medicinal properties. And the other piece in me wanting to get into like eating edibles and making edible, infused foods or something different was because I didn't always want to smoke. I didn't always want to smell like smoke. Mind you, I was still getting over being embarrassed going in public, high.
You can smell it.
You can smell it. But it was nice entering the cannabis industry as a professional and people saying, you smell nice.
Yeah. I love that.
So I'm grateful for that. So in my research with CBG, I found the beauty behind CBG. Now, CBG, cannabigerol, again, is the mother of all cannabinoids. It's different from CBD in some ways. However, it's similar to CBD in it being non-intoxicating. Okay. So it does, however, combine to the same exact receptors that THC combines to. So it can help in pieces like migraines and muscle soreness. CBD, on the other hand, is more targeted toward mood disorders, anxiety. So those are some key differences there. So in this, I started loving CBG, of course, and I always loved coffee and tea, but sugar. I didn't want to be diabetic. Again, weight was a big component for me. So I said, honey. I don't like peanut butter, but I love honey.
You should concoct something with peanut butter. I'd be your best customer.
We can do that.
So you come up with honey. It's good.
With honey. But I didn't want it just to be any old honey because they kill bees. They clip their wings. Bees naturally only have a 40-day lifespan. We need our bees. And kind of rewind, and this tying into the cannabis DUI. I still had not had my license at this time. It took me 3 years to get my license back, thanks to my allies at the Chamber of Cannabis. But so I was walking a lot. I was walking miles a day, 60,000 steps a day, 45,000 was my typical average. And so I said, I'm a bee. But while I was walking, I was picking up trash because how dirty Las Vegas is, no offense, but we need more trash cans. And we need more recycle bins. So in this, it was just, there was a lot of pieces that came to mind. I wanted to be just like a bee. As far as I wanted to get a lot of work done, but I wanted to focus on my golden, my royal honey, my royal jelly, So in that, I found Manuka honey. One of the doctors pulled out this huge, and he's a wound healing doctor. He pulled out this huge tub of Manuka honey. And he's like, you know what this is? Taste it. It was so rich and creamy. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is it? It tells me a little bit about Manuka honey. I stay up for days. I create this entire presentation and I'm like, that's what I want to create. And one day I'm walking down the street and an angel came by and said, hey, I was told to stop for you. I have a present. And I was like, okay, stranger danger.
Yeah.
Or run. Vegas, what's happening? So lo and behold, he's a formulist. I call him Wiz, and I'm not allowed to say his name, but he helped me produce my first 24 jars of CBG that was certified, a CBG Manuka Honey that was certified. He has products in Whole Foods. He helped me learn how to create a nutrition label. He helped me learn how to extract. And after that, I had some celebrity faces, you know, help push my brand forward and help elevate J.A.D.E. And it just, J.A.D.E. went through a rebrand where it became Jodeci's alternative daily enhancements, because I was empowering minds of humankind, not only to decrease the use of opioids across the nation, but to find their whole health and their whole joy.
And this, besides for some of the science that you were doing, just a stranger walked up to you.
Yes.
And this is where it turned into?
Yes. And oddly enough,
and this is why I say, when you open yourself up to the universe is going to talk to you, because come on, that's not a coincidence.
And his family looks exactly like me, like his daughters. I'm like,
yeah, I think it's incredible.
You know, so it is pretty incredible. And, you know, in that, as I started building my brand, I needed to find really great people, right? In order to have a successful brand, in order to be successful, you have to surround yourself with successful people.
Yeah.
I had, oddly enough, the day I had launched my product line of honey, which looks just like this.
Yeah. I love it.
Yes.
Ah, so cute. So cute.
All handmade, packaged, and then we also have these.
Adorable.
I found, you know, a brand called the Chamber of Cannabis, and a nonprofit organization. They launched, oddly enough, the same exact time that I launched my product line. And they were really interested in impacting the community, doing reform. And I was like, oh, that's right up my alley. I've always been in community organizing, you know, hey, I can do this. So it was exactly what I wanted. And I joined, no questions asked. And instantly I always made myself readily available. Hey, what can I do? What can I help? How can I help? I want to do more. I feel like I'm not doing enough. Somebody let me in.
You are a worker bee.
Yes. So they recognize that. And now the Chamber of Cannabis is pretty dope, because it was founded by two amazing women in our industry who represent the cannabis markets, the legal cannabis markets. So we have Tina Ullman, and I also think she is one of my mentors. She's really dope. And we have Danny Baranowski. So two also worker bees. They don't stop. I found synergy with them, and we just grew this organization from like 20 or 40 homies that were on the phone with them, who were like, hey, that sounds cool. And now we're over 160 business members. I couldn't even tell you how many employees we have. That audit's not done, but it's amazing. We've passed 2 bills as an organization. We've passed the DUI Reform Bill, which is how I was able to defeat and get over and get my license back.
What is the Reform Bill?
So previously, if you were caught and were suspected of cannabis use or being high while driving, they would take your blood, and then you were given on a 0.02 nanograms was like the legal amount.
Okay.
One puff of a joint, one edible 3 weeks ago might have more left in your blood than that. So it was not fair. Like, there was no science behind it. They were just like, oh, we're just going to put this random number, and if it's over that, it was just like alcohol, which didn't make sense. So now the reform is more labeled like a prescription drug, right? So if you take a prescription drug, how inebriated are you, right? So if you're drowsy and, can't stay awake, not to drive, right? If you get
Yeah.
pulled over and you're drowsy and falling asleep, then that warrants, a ticket or whatever, I would hope just a ticket.
Yeah.
But so it's the same as cannabis now. So
Okay.
you have the right to fight it now. It's a lot laxed because there wasn't a good science behind it. So I got to testify in front of some legislators. I got to call people, some legislators,
Okay.
senators, ring their phones and just, hey, you got to change this bill. This impacted my life. I was a manager and like, boom, now I'm like trying to get back on my feet. It's been 3 years. Come on, guys.
Good for you.
So it was so cool. I got my voice back. I got my driver's license back. It was amazing. In a matter of like seconds, it felt like I was like, whoa, not even a year being in with the chamber did I get my driver's license back. So I was like, well, I'm definitely staying with this team. But also I saw opportunities to help build with them. They were supporting my small business. They had purchased a large amount of honey from me so that way I can pass out to hiring managers. But not only that, they were sending me opportunities to get investors, giving me opportunities
Wonderful.
to pitch. So it was a really great resource. And they took me under their wing and asked if they offered me the position of being their executive administrator.
Okay.
Obviously, I said yes. I am proud to help execute the day-to-day operations for the chamber. So we have our successful monthly, bi-monthly meetings. So we have successful community impact involvement. So we have successful political reform. We did pass the consumption lounge bill, so allowing Nevada to now have spaces where we can legally consume. And that honestly diversifies the workforce. So hotels, right? Different sectors are going to start getting, opening up, and that allows more job
Okay.
space here in Las Vegas. So I think that's pretty exciting.
Wow,
Yes.
you have really made a huge impact in so many ways and levels and across the board. Now, I know you're in Nevada and you're in that, on that team there. Do you need teams like you and your team in other states, or do some of the decisions you make spread out through other states, or are you strictly your particular area?
The really beautiful piece is a lot of our decisions get to seep into other states. And another cool piece about cannabis industry is that we have done a really great job at having allies in other states, whether it be Oregon or Washington or California, Georgia, New York. So Florida, right? We've built some really great allies that help us, that we can come together and say, hey guys, what are some best practices?
Okay.
So that's been really amazing. One of the really great organizations that has helped us in our seeping out into other areas is our partnership with Minorities for Medical Marijuana. They are a huge nonprofit group dedicated to advocacy, education, especially when it comes to diversity in cannabis and building out excellence. So they help the Chamber of Cannabis build out the social equity language in the consumption lounge bill. So that way there is a chance for people who have been impacted by the war on drugs to own an establishment. So we are providing opportunities, right? That's key.
Amazing.
So
Yeah.
they're in all over. They're in Florida. We just had 3 events this weekend in Georgia and Tallahassee, Florida. So that was exciting. The founder of that is Roz. So I get to help Minorities for Medical Marijuana as well in project management and some assistantship to Roz McCarthy, the founder and CEO. And it's cool because they're all women.
Okay. Now, all of the stuff that you've mentioned, I know I'll make sure everybody's linked up to your website. How do they find all this other stuff that you mentioned with the Chamber of Commerce and these different events that are being put on? How do they find that?
So in my Instagram at Hunny with the Honey, and it's spelled Hunny with the Hony. I have a link tree, and that actually has links to the Chamber of Cannabis website. It has links to the Minorities for Medical Marijuana website.
Okay.
I do have, I push out a newsletter from J.A.D.E, and it's in my Cannasseurs Club. So if you're a connoisseur, an entrepreneur in the cannabis space
I
who
love
really
this.
is a professional, one of our taglines in the chamber says "Stoned Professionals." It's awesome.
I love it, all this. And everybody, if you're listening or if you're watching, I'll make sure graphics go up that show exactly how to get in touch with J.A.D.E. Definitely underneath us in the show notes will be links to her website, all of her social media, everything. So you're just a link away from everything that she's talking about. So you're not going to have to research her. It'll be right below us. I'll make sure she's just a click away.
Yes, it's pretty easy. We just one buzz, one marketing hunt.
I got to tell you, so you've talked about the science, you've talked about all this stuff. And if there's one thing that I do use that you have is honey. I mean, I use it quite a bit, whether it be on a parfait or, you could use it in so many different ways. I know yours is like the most exotic honey. Where is it that you get your bees from?
Oh, yes. So our bees are very exotic. I have a farm in New Zealand.
That's, I thought, New Zealand.
And
you do it nicely. You do not harm your bees. Just take us how you make your honey and why it's so exotic and what are the benefits of your honey.
So my honey comes from a unique, rare plant that only pollinates or produces and blooms 2 to 6 weeks out of the year, found only on the land of New Zealand. So in this, the bees that are on the land get to pollinate from the Manuka bush. So the Manuka bush is a plant that provides so many health benefits, specifically as an antibacterial. So when it comes to Manuka honey, depending on where the hives are in that bush, really gives you the most medical grade quality. So the higher the hive, the higher the beehive, the higher the medical grade you're going to get in your honey. So this honey is actually used in wound treatment, and it's used in skincare. It's used for gastrointestinal issues.
That's what I was going to ask you. It's internal and external cleansing.
Yes, internal and external. See, the piece about this honey is not all honey has MGO, methylglyoxal, which is the anti-inflammatory or antibacterial property. Okay. There's also another rating. So in our honey, each of them are certified This one is certified monofloral, meaning like it only comes from the Manuka bush. Okay. You do have Manuka honeys that are multifloral that can have properties from other bush, flowers. However, the Manuka property, that MGO, is high enough to make it Manuka honey. Okay. So there's a UMF rating, which is really the other medicinal piece in Manuka honey that you want to look out for. The UMF is really where the skincare comes in. So the higher the UMF is like +10, is really how you can eliminate dark spots. You can help with any inflammatory on your skin. This I actually use as like chapstick. And you can even use it to like treat your dark spots.
Okay.
Put it on your skin for 15 minutes and then wash it off. Or I'd leave it on as a mask.
I love this. I'm learning something completely new. A lot of stuff completely new today.
So it's a really rare honey, and the bees, they're protected. They naturally have 40 days to live. So, they die naturally. We are not clipping their wings. We're just grabbing the honey that is, again, produced from just the Manuka bush. And it's a beautiful process. So bees just live happily ever after.
Wow. I got to tell you, Jade, Jodeci,
Jodeci.
you are just remarkable from, where you came from, the courage and just your ability to evolve and just find your way, what you're doing now, and then how you've implemented standards, laws, products that I hope you're really proud of yourself.
I am. I really am. And, I'm excited to just pass on my knowledge and share any resources that I can. If I can help somebody bring out their light just by shedding mine a little bit, more each and every day, then I'm healing one person at a time and ultimately changing the world.
Which is what you've wanted to do from the beginning. So you're doing it, girl. You're doing it.
We're buzzing.
Yeah. I dare ask what's next?
Yes. What's next is, a lot. So in the next year, a lot of plans with Minorities for medical marijuana, as well as the Chamber of Cannabis, and really the application process for building out these consumption lounges. So that's going to be big. But also I'm writing a book right now. So publishing on the radar.
I will be getting that book. You need to send me a note when that comes out. Come back on. We'll talk about it, because that's going to be one incredible book.
It is. Some retreats. We started doing some healing retreats. So metaphysical realms. So using crystals, and our next one is Sedona. So a lot of more production coming that our way. And then my big piece is finally getting the start of my television show. So that's in productions.
My God, there is so much more coming. Your television show. What is the television show about?
So think of kind of an Oprah Winfrey meets Wendy Williams.
That's interesting.
Yes. So everyone does podcasts. And I love podcasts, right? They're so at the tip of your tongue. But I really want to inspire others who are doing so much work and highlight others who are doing so much work. But I really need it to be extravagant, like both of those ladies, and loud. And I want my own network. I want to give everybody free stuff in the audience. I want all of that. And it's
You're going to get it. You're going to get it. There's not a doubt in my mind.
You get a free jar of honey.
And you get a free jar of honey. And you get a mask, and you get a mask.
Right, exactly.
Well, I'm telling you, I am ordering this honey when we get off, because I have to try something. First of all, I love natural products. And sometimes you don't really know when you got something crazy going on, or until you fix it. You're like, wow, that was amazing. So I want to try it just because I'm sure consuming it is going to taste fabulous. And I want to support. I just love people that benefit the community, who think bigger and bolder and want to do something right, that heals, that helps, and you are the exact vision of that. So
thank you. I'm just excited to share my gift. This was a gift given to me by nature, and I'm so grateful to share it with the world. It's healed so many people, whether it was shrinking down cancerous tumors from a really close friend of mine, or just making somebody who has allergies feel a little bit better, or just adding it instead of sugar.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Jodeci, you have been amazing learning about Jade, telling the people, the viewers, the listeners about Jade. I hope everybody has sat here with their mouth hanging open the way I have and just soaked it all in as a sponge. Again, I hope everybody goes to your website. I hope everybody follows you, they support you, and just see, you'll know Jade when she was just a girl on the internet. Now she's going to have a TV show. I have to say, I'm really looking forward to watching you grow, because there's not a doubt in my mind that you will.
Thank you so much. It's truly an honor, and I'm excited to grow more. Excuse me, my dog bumped my camera. She's like, hey, love me now.
I heard my name.
So whatever I can do to continue to grow, that's what I want to do, be that light, as we're supposed to be light workers. So that's what I'm intended to do, and that's what I'll continue to do.
Okay, well, come on back to Shannon Confidential anytime when your book is ready, your show is going to come out, or you just happen to have just a whole nother industry that you started. I just love positive messages like this and Jade. And so you have an open invitation to come back anytime.
Thank you, Shannon. I really love what you're doing, and I really love the excitement and the conversations that you have on your show. So I'm excited to see how this fits in, especially when it, infuses both mental health and metaphysical and earth.
That's big. Okay, well, let's get it out there.
Thank you. Visit me at jadesbusiness.org. Buzz, buzz.
Buzz, buzz.